So this gentleman is a top 20 goalie of the 1980s. He almost helped the Flyers win the 1980 Stanley Cup, their big undefeated streak. He won the Vezina Trophy in 1983 and a very good season. It also was a key catalyst for the Boston Bruins with the great goalies he had there. But Pete Peeters, the reason why nobody remembers him outside of his teams he played for, he was just so consistent, sort of like the Carey Price of his era, just building up victories and victories. He'll make the Hall of Fame one of these days, but it's going to be probably in the veterans wing. Now, Pete Peeters, born in Edmonton, selected by the Flyers in the 8th round, 135th overall of the 77 NHL amateur draft. He eventually went on to play 13 seasons in the NHL for the Flyers, twice, of course, the Bruins and Capitals. He was featured in the 1980 Stanley Cup Finals with the Flyers, won the 84 Canada Cup with Team Canada, probably what some consider the most underrated Team Canada team of all time. Now, born to a family of Dutch immigrants in Edmonton, Alberta, at a young age he valued swimming more than hockey. It was not until he was 18 that Peeters was committed to major junior hockey. In 1975, he joined the struggling Medicine Hat Tigers team. He would stay with the Roar for 2 years before being drafted. Peeters again was selected 135th overall in the 77 NHL amateur draft after showing scouts that he had what it took to play at an NHL level. He skated for 2 seasons in the AHL, winning the Harry Hap Holmes Memorial Award for best goals against average in the league, and won back-to-back Calder Cups, and he was also selected to the first All-Star team. Now, 6 feet 185. Basically, he got his big break when he was called up to the Flyers in 1980, sharing the net with Phil Muir. Now, Phil Muir shared the net with Roger Vachon and Dryden in 71, so he was still around for quite some time, also for the Flames. Peter started with a 22-0-5 record before he's losing his first contest of the season on February 19th. The Flyers set an NHL and pro sports record by going 39 straight games without a loss that season. Peeters finished the campaign with a 29-5-5 record with a 2.73 goals against average. He led the Flyers all the way to Stanley Cup Finals before winning to the Islanders on an overtime goal at Nassau Coliseum in Game 6 by Bobby Nystrom, the Jim Houston call. For his effort, Peeters was selected to play in the NHL All-Star contests. The following season, expectations were high for Peeters, but he did not meet them. Over the next 2 years, his goals against average rose and his playoff success diminished. Following an infamous incident in 1982 where he allegedly molested a reporter in a locker room, it's probably female, he was traded to the Bruins for defenseman Brad McCrimmon. Now, Peter joined the Bruins for the 83 season. There he had his best year, playing in 62 games with a 40-11-9 record, with 8 blanks and a decade-best 236 GAA. At one point, Peeters won 31 games without a loss. He was the one of only 2, I think, NHL players up to this date that have undefeated streaks past 30 games. He won the Vezina Trophy for his spectacular play and was selected first All-Star team goalie. He also played in the All-Star game his first season with Boston. Peeters that year finished second in voting for the Hart, to, of course, Wayne Gretzky. Next season, expectations were high again for Peeters, and like in Philly, he did not meet them. He played for 2 more years with the Bruins, with his goal against average inflating and his losses piling up. I don't think it's anything by his fault. Just the teams in Boston were 1 year great, 1 year bad. It wasn't totally his fault. Now, when he's invited to Team Canada for the 84 Canada Cup, despite having a sprained ankle, he was able to play in 4 tournament games, including both best-of-3 final games against Sweden, and of course the memorable overtime win against the Soviets in the semis. Now, after the Canada Cup experience, he had trouble readjusting his game to the NHL level, mainly due to injuries. After a slow start in the 86 season, Peeters was traded to the Washington Capitals in exchange for goalie Pat Riggin, who was also at time with the Flames. Peeters had much success with the Caps by providing a solid goaltending acumen for the next 4 years and became the team's starting goalie in the playoffs. However, his squad never advanced past the second round, and of course he didn't play in an infamous big game in '88 where Washington were defeated by the Flyers in overtime. Now, as it stands right now, when he returned to Philadelphia, it was by way of free agency. He remained there for the last 2 seasons of his career, sharing the net with Ron Hextall and Ken Reggett, and Peeters would eventually hang up the pads in 91. At the end of his playing career, he returned to the family farm in Edmonton. He then got into coaching, serving as a goalie coach to the Stars, the Jets, the Coyotes, and the Edmonton Oilers. From July 2009 to June 2013, he was the goalie coach for the Manitoba Ducks, a position would have been left vacant following the departure of Francois Allaire. Now, Peter's son Trevor, who was born in 1987, played 36 games over 4 seasons as a goalie to WHL for Red Deer, Swift Current, and Saskatoon. Now, many awards, again, selected the AHL second All-Star team in 79. Harry Hap Holmes Memorial winner in 79 with Robbie Moore. Elizabeth C. Dufresne Trophy winner in 83. Bruins 3-Star Awards in 83. 7-Player Award winner in 83. All-Star Game in 83, Vezina Trophy winner. And it played in the 80, 81, 83, and 84 NHL All-Star Games. Canada Cup winner in 84. Now, it was the only goalie in history to have 2 25-plus game unbeaten streaks and on 2 different teams. He says one of 2 goalies who have a 30-plus game unbeaten streak, along with the great Jerry Cheevers. Now, name one of the top 100 best Bruins players of all time. Now, in Medicine Hat, from 76 and 77, 42 victories over those campaigns in 99 games. Milwaukee, the AHL, 12, 10, and 7. Maine in 78, the second half of the season, 8, 2, and 2. 79 with the Mariners, 25, 6, and 3 before the call-up. To Philly when he was 1, 2, and 1. With Philly, 29, 5, and 5, 22, 12, and 5, and 23, 18, and 3. With Boston, a 41 win season, a 29 win season. Then he went 19 and 26. Eventually found himself with Washington in 86, where he won 22 games total, 17, and also found himself down with the Binghamton Whalers for 4 contests in 87. 88, 14, 12, and 4. 89, 27, and 3. In 1990, a terrible record, 113 and 5. 91 with the Flyers, much better, 9, 7, and 1. And 2 last games with Hershey Bears. Overall, in his career, 489 games, 246 victories, to almost 28,000 minutes played, 3.08 average in the playoffs, a solid 35, and 4 with 2 blanks. Now, Team Canada went 3 and 1. So the interesting thing about the 77 draft, we're going to go back and talk about that year. So you look on through Google, and it gives you some interesting details of his career. And I'm trying to be as honest as possible with that incident in the locker room, and we're going to talk about some details if we can find it here. Now, had a run-in with a Philadelphia reporter during the 82 season. He was accused of physically abusing a reporter. The incident was a factor as being traded the following summer. Eventually, he wore for the teams he played for. See if we can find it for you here. The normally wore number 33. So in Philadelphia, number 1 in Boston, number 1 in Washington, and of course Stanley Cup final. Now won quite a few awards over the years, and he was a playoffs goalie games played leader for Boston in 83 with 17. Now here it gets kind of freaky as well. He was also part of a phantom trade. Peeters were traded by the Flyers with key actor to Winnipeg in exchange for future considerations December 28, 89. 5 days later, Winnipeg returned Peeters and acted in Philadelphia in exchange for Toronto's 91 fifth-round pick, Juha Jolin, an agreement to cancel the future considerations owed from a July 21st, 89 trade in which Winnipeg sent Sean Cronin to Philadelphia. The Acton Peeters deal was made to protect Philadelphia from losing either player in the 89 NHL waiver draft. Neither Peeters nor Acton ever reported to Winnipeg during the 5 days between the 2 trades because Winnipeg general manager Mike Smith told him it wasn't necessary. At the time of the second trade, Winnipeg was given the option to take a 96-round pick or a 91 fifth-round pick. The controversial trade prompted an investigation by the NHL, but Flyer GM manager Bob Clark argued there was no prearranged deal in place. The trade was allowed to stand because the NHL was unable to prove that the first trade had included any plans for the second trade. However, both Philadelphia and Winnipeg were fined $10,000 for breaking a league rule that prevents teams from loaning players. So again, it was pretty weird. Now, another thing he participated in was in the Heroes of Hockey game during 99 NHL All-Star Weekend in Tampa, Florida, and also in the Celebrity Challenge game during the 2002 NHL All-Star Weekend. And like that ankle really hurt him badly during his career. So always something different with Pete Peeters. And like I said, the reason why he didn't stand was very workmanlike like Brian Hayward. But the thing I can compare it to was Carey Price. Carey had more, dramatic situations. But he couldn't stand on his head to beat the Islanders in 1980. That team was destined. Nobody's going to beat that squad. So that's the life and legacy of Pete Peeters, the person who was traded and not traded in the same week. And basically, they said it was an assault, molest. I don't know what's going on. I wasn't there. But that was a factor in his trade and whatever you want to say about it. So if you like what we're doing with our Sports File NHL Tribute podcast, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.